From the creators who brought you RuPaul's Drag Race and $1 Million Listing, this is World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome. It's the Wow Report right here on Hollywood Boulevard in Hollywood, California, at headquarters of World of Wonder. I am Tom Campbell, Chief Creative Officer here at WOW. I am joined this week, as I am every week, by James St. James, club kid turned best-selling author, trying to hold it together.
I'm trying to hold it together.
And also joining us at the table is our millennial producer, Blake Jacobs.
Hi, guys.
You'll notice that Fenton is away, doing what he does
across
the world.
Gallivanting across the globe,
exactly. As
usual.
We miss him and look forward to his return. But we have a job to do, and that is to count down the top 10 things that made us go, wow, this very week. And we have some breaking news from Jane St. James at number 10.
Number 10.
There's a scream rising in the pit of my stomach, up through my throat. I'm about to have a nervous breakdown.
What's new?
It was just announced. The Days of Our Lives, the entire cast has been released from their contracts. It was a bloodbath this morning. Every single actor on the show was given the heave-ho.
Well, does this mean it's over?
Well, that's just it. What do we know? They're saying that happened...
And James is a huge Days of Our Lives.
I've got to back this up by saying I've been watching the show for 25 years. I know every single plot point. I know every single actor. I've been to the fan encounters,
yes.
The fan weekends. I've stalked a few of the boys on the show. I
followed them into superstardom even.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, so the show is actually filmed 8 months in advance. So they have enough episodes to go through summer of 2020.
Wow.
Okay. Then they take a hiatus, and when they come back from hiatus, that's when they don't know what's going to happen. It starts refilming again in March. Now, what they're saying is this might be a very cagey
negotiation
thing, where maybe half of them won't come back, in which case that's good because they don't need to pay half the stars, or none of them will come back, or they will all come back and they will come back at a reduced salary. They can renegotiate for a different salary. But it does sort of seem like it's the beginning of the end.
Dangerous times.
Where it is, we are down to 4 soap operas.
Yeah, what are they again?
Now is General Hospital on ABC.
Just one on ABC.
Young and the Restless and Bold and the Beautiful
2
on
CBS.
And then Days of Our Lives, which is the only one on NBC.
Isn't it crazy? There used to be like 10 or 11 or 12
There used to be so many of them. And the thing is, right now, it is such an important time on Days of Our Lives because they did something unprecedented. They've never, in the history of soap operas, they've never done this. They had a time leap. All of a sudden, Jennifer Horton fell off of the balcony and was in a coma, and all of a sudden she woke up and they said, "How long have I been gone?" And they said, "A year." And so the whole soap opera has fast-forwarded a year just this week.
Who's president? Who's president on Days of Our Lives?
Right? Well, so all of a sudden, we have someone is in prison for a murder, and we don't know who was murdered.
Oh, that's smart.
All this stuff is happening, and Princess Gina is running amok. We don't know. She's actually Hope Brady, but sometimes she turns into Princess Gina, and now she's Princess
do,
as one does. So all this stuff is happening, and I'm terrified, and it's upsetting, and I love my soap opera.
Can you be alone tonight? Do you need someone to be with you?
Well, that's just it. The thing about a soap opera is that I always try to explain to people is that it's a through life for your entire life. No matter what chaos goes on in your life,
you can remember. It's like I've always talked about when I was in 7th grade was when Marlena was possessed.
Yes, exactly.
And Susan.
And that is something that we have in common.
Yeah.
That no matter how bad the day is, we can talk about
I was
Marlena's
a huge
possession.
ABC soap fan. General Hospital, but All My Children was really my go-to. And One Life to Live, which was everyone's guilty pleasure. No one said they were a One Life to Live fan, but we all watched.
And Ryan's Hope was the same way,
God.
too. Remember when Delia released the gorilla from the
zoo?
And then he carried her to the top of the Empire State
like
Building,
King Kong.
threw her off, and then she got psychic powers from the fall.
Well, the best soap operas do include primates because did y'all watch Passions?
Yes.
Oh, that was so good.
Well, Passions was the one that had the orangutan nurse who took care of Timmy.
And her Beth, who was his sister or whatever. Because remember, the old lady was always with the monkey, right?
Yeah. Well, she was the witch, right?
And then, no, that was Tabitha. But then the old lady's daughter was a Miss America, and she does
Okay.
hardcore porn
Anyway,
now.
We're losing everyone.
I'm sorry.
I just want to say, James, this couldn't be worse news. I'm so sorry.
I know.
Reach out for help if you need it. And you can watch Days of Our Lives. And it's like a good soap opera. We don't know where this is going to end.
It's true.
Is that right?
This is worthy of a Friday cliffhanger.
Stay tuned to the WoW Report for updates on Days of Our Lives.
The sands are running out of the hourglass for Days of Our Lives.
At least you have through 2020, though, or
true.
summer.
All right. We're moving on to number 9.
I'm sorry.
That's no, you're good.
Number 9.
I want to do a little self-promotion because we are approaching the last week of RuPaul's Drag Race UK.
Yep.
We've talked a little bit about it on the show.
Mm-hmm.
We constantly are telling you to sign up for WoW Presents Plus, which costs $3.99 a month.
Less than a latte.
Less than a latte. It is our streaming service. You can see lots of RuPaul's Drag Race. But I got to tell you, unless you live in the UK, where RuPaul's Drag Race is on the BBC i3 iPlayer, which is their streaming service, the best place to see. You can also see it on Logo a week later. It's a week delay.
And on Crave in Canada.
But if you want to see it anyplace else, WoW Presents Plus. And this is a good time because first month free, $3.99 a month. You can cancel whenever you want.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you do.
Yeah.
This is a very low risk thing, and it is the ultimate finale happening on Drag Race. So you can catch up with Drag Race UK in one delicious sitting or two. It's 7 episodes plus the finale, which is coming out this Thursday.
And with the holidays coming up, you've got plenty of time to binge.
Yes.
There's RuPaul's Drag Race Thailand.
Yes.
And Party Monster. I was going to wear my Party Monster shirt.
Oh, yeah. And 101 Run Boys, one of my favorites.
But I have to say, RuPaul's Drag Race UK, which has RuPaul on it, Michelle is on it. Carson and Ross are not part of this, but we had local because we wanted local people. Graham Norton.
Awesome.
And
we
and
watch
Alan
the show
Carr.
all the time, yeah.
And it's just it's we didn't know if it could be replicated. It can be. It's different flavors, it's a different cast. The queens are fantastic, and just
the queens are a little naughtier and a little more.
100%.
Yeah,
but the one accomplishment, which is only could happen in the UK, but we're trying to do it here, is we write a lot of original music. Rue writes amazing songs and is always in the charting on the dance charts on iTunes. The Queens have done songs that have gotten something in the UK. They were given a girl group song. Yes. Leland, Brett McLaughlin, and Freddie Scott, who do a lot of the specialty music, wrote a song called "Break Up Bye Bye," and it was a girl group challenge. And the idea was that girl groups always break up, so this is their debut and their finale thing together. And one group called themselves Filth Harmony, amazing, very fun, do a very good job. But the other group call themselves the Frock Destroyers because
the
Cock Destroyers.
Well, I think you had to be beeped out right there.
Well, we're on Radio Andy.
Okay.
So Cock Destroyers are these porn women that?
Well, they're MILFs, I think. Filthy MILFs.
No, they are porn. They are porn stars, and they do some very
they're
filthy
Cock
things.
Destroyers. But these are Frock Destroyers, and it is Davina DeCampo. It is Blue Hydrangea, and it is Bag of Chips. Just those names alone, if you don't, are worth $3.99.
Right.
But their version of Break Up Bye Bye is number 2 on the UK iTunes. Number 2, like Ariana Grande and Lizzo combined forces to remake like Good as Hell. Love them, not as big as us. And we've broken the top 40 in terrestrial top 40, however that works. So stuff is happening on Drag Race UK. That's just the tip of the
And
iceberg.
season 2 just announced, right?
Season 2 was announced. So we're going back to the UK. If I'm not
Fabulous,
here in
fabulous,
the spring,
fabulous.
that's where I'll be. And it's a great opportunity. I would, we just didn't know when we went what we were in for. We thought it's going to be different and Yankee. It turned out great.
But you
and we're
knew,
so
you
proud
sort of had a feeling
You hoped.
because the Brits would deliver.
hoped,
That
yes.
You know that they would. So
RuPaul's Drag Race.
And you know what
UK.
I love about it is you learn so much. Because being Americans, you don't know these British quips and it's
like
hilarious.
you can refer to the vagina as a tuppence. For instance, that's a little like Sesame Street's 50 years old. That should be on the new Sesame Street.
Right.
Keep your tuppence clean, girls. RuPaul's Drag Race UK available on WoW Presents Plus. Check it out. Go online. It's worth it.
Wow-presents.com.
I just Google stuff. I can't spell. Now, Blake, number 8.
Number 8.
Well, I'm actually going to give my seat up to someone I work with every day. He went to Vegas this weekend.
What?
And I'll just let him tell you. I'm going to bring up Herb.
Herb. Yes, Herb is our camera guy, our sound.
Rarely mention Herb, and yet he does everything for us.
He's our tech guy,
but he's also very smart because he leaves when we start. He sets everything up and then gets the hell out of the room.
But we got to mention that Herb is infinitely cooler than any of us.
Hello.
Thank you.
If you've never watched us on YouTube for free, The Wow Report, do it now to see Herb. It's really exciting.
Hello, I'm glad to be here.
Hey. So what were you doing this weekend that made you go wow?
This weekend was so wow, and I feel like I'm still
coming down from it. Yeah,
coming down. I was there to see Lady Gaga perform and Terrence Blanchard perform at Lady Gaga's Jazz and Piano.
Okay.
Jazz and Piano concert.
Oh, because she does the two different shows. She does the pop show and then she does her jazz show. She alternates back and forth.
So you were seeing Jazzy Gaga.
Jazzy Gaga. Yeah.
And the Terrence that you mentioned is your uncle?
Yes.
Okay.
He's my uncle. Yeah.
Okay, and he is in the show.
He's in the show.
Yeah.
So long story short, they were actually and she spoke about this during her introduction. During the performance, they were actually seated at the table at the Oscars together for the dinner. And
because they were both nominated for Oscars.
Yeah, both nominated for Best Original Score, I believe. Oh, no, that was the Academy Award. Nominated for Best Instrumental Composition.
Okay.
This is your uncle was nominated.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And so they were at the table, and
that's where they met.
That's where they met, and come to find out, she was a real big fan. Much love and respect to the jazz community and jazz culture, and the history behind it, and invited him to perform with her at her show.
That's amazing.
And yeah, it was amazing.
But now, cut to the big takeaway from this was.
I imagine the show is wonderful, but what did you do afterwards?
Afterwards, there was a private party at the Nomad restaurant, so right there in Vegas, and it was just so blown away.
So how many people were at this party?
About maybe 65, 70.
Okay.
70 people. Was packed, and then people were, squeezing in, trying to see what they could see, and she went all on board. And what really stuck out for me with her was how much love and respect she was showing Terrence, and she made that just so clear. Even at the performance at the theater, before she introduced him out, she says he's composed a score over 40 films. He's a legend, and it showed.
What all has he worked on? Like what?
Yeah, what would we know?
You would know Black Klansman.
Yes.
Oh, sure.
And then,
Okay.
Most recently, Harriet.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
In theaters now.
And the Metropolitan Opera, they announced they'll stage his opera, Fire Shut Up in My Bones.
Oh yeah.
Yep, on the 2021-22 season, and he's going to be the first African American composer.
That's the first African American opera that is played at the Metropolitan.
Yep.
Yes.
And then 136 years of it.
That's
being
incredible.
Yeah.
That makes me
Yes.
want to go to the opera.
Yeah.
Very little done. That's something new.
Oh yeah, it was great.
And
But
then you have a picture of you and
I
Gaga.
have a picture of me. I don't have.
We'll flash it.
I'll-
We'll flash it up.
yeah,
I'll
I'll
show
send
you.
I have
Yeah.
a picture, and then the video is what
there's
blows
a
me away
video.
and just kind of takes me back to that moment of elevation when she introduced me. He walks on the stage and they embrace. And then during the one things that he told me about that stood out for him with her was during the prayer before the show, how some of the things she said, and it was really moving. Like she was a real person.
She is. We
was my
know
first
that
time
about
meeting her.
Gaga, that she is a good person and she's real and she knows her music history.
She was on Drag Race that one time, and she's paid us and Rue and this crew so much respect. Part of me, cynical me, is like, well, she can't really mean it. You know what? Everyone who meets her says the same thing.
Yeah.
And it's the act of doing it. She's, Lady Gaga holds so much respect and awe. You're so excited to meet her, and she could go any which direction. She's only human, but she seems to consistently be kind and gracious and appreciative
And she's
of
a
people.
fan. She's a
Yes.
fan of music and of the arts and everything.
Lady
And all
Gaga-
kinds of music.
Yes,
Yeah.
makes everything better. Lady Gaga makes everything better. That's all.
And she was encouraging everyone to come to the jazz show, and how much she is starting to identify with both. She can do pop and do jazz, but
Sure.
she was saying how much jazz really moves her.
Well, I think she started with Tony Bennett was sort of a big influence, sort of a mentor for her in that, and she's really sort of taken it and run with it.
Jazz is forever. I want to see Lady Gaga's jazz show,
I do
which
too.
I really
I
want
do
to,
too.
and I want to go to the opera in 21-22.
There you
You
go.
have to.
And she was like wearing the same outfit all night, right?
Well, Well,
and you
she-
went to
I
the
think-
after party.
Yeah.
See, you
yeah.
didn't even, and that was like 20
Maybe you're not
people.
supposed to talk about the
So, yeah, I
after
can't talk-
party.
I don't want to get in too much detail over that, but it was very moving. Like it was the whole night. It just
So
got
you went to the
more
concert,
emotional
you went
and
to
more
the-
moving because it got more and more personal and more close as the night.
And now you're dating Lady Gaga? Is that what I'm getting? Is
she
that
announced that
breaking?
she's single. I didn't know she.
Yeah, Days of Our Lives is ending and Herb is dating.
Lady
Gaga.
Gaga.
But it was
big-
amazing.
it's a big
And
wow
like I said,
report.
every time I look at the video, it just takes me back to that moment.
And I'll
it was
post
great.
that video along with the post at worldofwonder.net/Radio Andy.
Great.
But now, wait a minute. Is it, when you were growing up and your uncle was this jazz musician, was he just your uncle, or did you? When was it that you realized how big he was and how important he was?
Let's see how big he was. He's always been a monumental figure and an inspiration. But I feel like recently during the premiere of Black Klansman and this Harriet premiere and just seeing all the love and all the people from all over that look up to him, respect his work, and appreciate the things he's done. Most recently it was like
Right,
it's really
okay.
really starting to feel. And as an adult, because I'm actually
Yeah.
Right.
in the
You're in the biz, baby.
I'm adjacent or in the circle when the time comes, and just seeing the people and the love they pour on them, I'm just like, man, you deserve it, and just proud. I was a very proud nephew.
Thank you for sharing that wow story.
My
You
pleasure.
are always here. You're welcome anytime to contribute. So please come
Yes,
back to the
thank you so
table.
much.
Maybe after the Harriet premiere, because that's next week, is it?
Are you going?
November 1st, it already premiered.
Oh, it did.
Yep,
Oh,
already
okay.
premiered.
Oh,
Yep,
okay.
yep.
You can come back and tell
Have you
us
seen
about
it? Did you see it?
Yeah, I saw it.
Okay. Okay.
Thumbs up.
We'll talk
Thumbs
about
up.
it.
Thumbs up.
The
All right.
stories need to be told. There's so
Yes.
so many more, and
I love it.
yeah, so many more stories
All right.
to come. Hopefully, yeah.
Unfortunately, we have to take a little break.
Thank you so
Before we
much.
go, Blake, is there a little trivia question to keep
I've-
people wrapped to their radios?
I do have a trivia question. It has to do with pop music, and it has a little something to do with one of my topics later.
Occur.
Who was Britney Spears' Toxic originally written for?
All right. That and more will be explored as we continue to count down the top 10 things that make us go, wow. Here on the Wow Report, Radio Andy, Sirius XM.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
And we are back. This is the Wow Report coming to you from Hollywood, California. I'm Tom Campbell here with James St. James, Blake Jacobs. Fenton Bailey's away on assignment. And we are in the midst of counting down the top 10 things that make us go, wow. Right before the break, we had a little trivia question. Blake, would you repeat that question, please?
Yeah, who was Britney Spears' Toxic? It was her only Grammy win. Who was it written for originally?
Well, we know it was 2004, so I'm going to say Avril Lavigne.
I'm going to say it was Robin, because I think the didn't Swedish writers and producers write that song for her?
Okay,
And then
okay.
Robin's been around for a while. I'm going to say Robin.
Okay.
It was actually Kylie Minogue.
What?
Yeah.
That doesn't
She
seem like a
passed on
Kylie
it,
song.
yeah.
It was probably a wise choice for her.
It is it's almost not a song because it's so catchy. It's just like an earworm beyond belief, but it's a good song and a great video.
We're going to talk about those Swedish producers later.
Okay, good. All right, we are counting down the top 10. We are now at number 7.
Number 7.
Hashtag WeLoveYouAlex was trending this week. As you know, Alex Trebek, who is a gentleman that we've known our whole lives, right?
Loved.
Who is battling cancer, host of Jeopardy, has been very open about it and sharing his process in a way that only he could. It doesn't feel like he's looking for
Wallowing.
sympathy
No.
or wallowing. He's just keeping us abreast in a very straightforward way. Well, during Monday night's show, a contestant in Final Jeopardy, I don't think he was going to win anyway. He was behind. But the question was asked. It was on some topic. And his answer was, "We love you, Alex." And it caught Alex by surprise. And it's that moment that you can't predict that makes you cry right now, where it's like he was just... And
It's very rare that Alex is so composed.
Yeah.
And he's it's always a gentleman. And
just got under his skin. And for a second, like the whole clip is 15 seconds long, but it's one of those things that reminds you that you're alive.
Yeah, yeah.
And that you're human. And
how precious life is.
How precious life is, and how, you also have a feeling Alex loves what he does. You know what I'm saying? There's something about when you bring love to work and it translates to everybody. And his happens to be in a very public arena. People, I said waitresses, people, anybody you run into who loves their job, they're giving you something. And in some of the reporting on it, there was a picture of Alex Trebek from his first job that I remember, which was High Rollers, where he was a mustachioed, brown hair curly. My Reynolds fetish.
I don't know anything about him other than Jeopardy. I remember the day he shaved the mustache.
It was a game show based on craps, basically.
Yeah,
Big Dice.
like a Vegas.
And Ruta Lee, Miss Ruta Lee was I think contestants. Maybe she threw the dice, but she had this rake that she'd bring them back with. And anyway, so I love.
But I
him
remember
so much.
I've always been in love with Alex. I would marry Alex Trebek in a hot second. He's so wonderful, and he just has such great energy, and you want him to live forever and ever and ever.
Rue had the privilege of performing in drag to do one of the video questions. Alec came to the set, participated, photographed with the queens. We did a sticky thing with him. It wasn't a judge day. He wasn't available. It was a different day, and he spent the day on the set, and he loved it. He just embraced it fully.
He's a
and
good
just
man.
good man.
Yeah.
He wasn't like, I'm bigger than you or this is alien to me. He was into it. Both feet. This is before his diagnosis became public, and I fell in love with him deeper then.
And it's pancreatic cancer, so it is.
We're all going out some way or the other.
It's true, but it's going to be a hard one when we lose.
Do you know what season drag? I want to imagine what queens were interacting with Alex Trebek.
It was last season because we said and during deliberation we go, Alec, what do you think? He'd be like, no tea, no shade. He was doing that kind of thing. My only footnotes to this, just because it's they share the same block, is that Wheel of Fortune, Pat Sajak, emergency surgery. Vanna White is going to be filling in for him.
Stepped in.
Vanna takes the wheel.
Vanna White is
in control.
All about Vanna,
She's
right?
been waiting 40 goddamn years.
And the question is, who's going to turn the letters? And I have to believe that Vanna could do both. She could host and do letters
so,
I
yeah.
think they
backwards
announced
and in
it was
heels.
sort of a shocker too.
I don't want to know. I don't want to know. And then the last,
Surprise me.
the last daytime TV institution who made a rare appearance was Judge Judy. Was on the Bill Maher show this past Friday, and she was there to say that she wants us to elect Bloomberg for president. And here's this one with so much. She's like, he's an administrator. He knows what he's doing. Bill Maher tested her. It wasn't the most genial thing, but I give her credit for standing up, at least by saying she's for Bloomberg. She's saying she's against Trump. People who watch Judge Judy listen.
Yes.
But maybe she's a little more logical than the voting base. But it was interesting to see Judge Judy, who never does anything outside of her bench, be on television. So, Alex, we love you. Vanna, we're rooting for you. Pat, get better. And Judge Judy, keep on keeping on. All right, let's move on now to number 6, James St. James.
Number 6.
I've been watching The King on Netflix, which is something that we talked about before. This is Timothée Chalamet as Henry V. King Hal in Shakespeare, and I wish that Fenton was here because Fenton, of course, knows all about British history. Not remember we're always testing him, and he never knows anything about British history.
I listen a lot during these segments.
Anyway, this is such an important role for Timothée Chalamet because not only is he big, huge. This is his year,
yes.
but this is also the bowl cut where
that's why we talked about it.
Yes, Timothée Chalamet has a bowl cut.
After Charlize got hers.
After Charlize Theron got hers. After Katya and Trixie made national news because they were on the forefront of this trend. And then now Timothée Chalamet has a bowl cut. It looks absolutely spectacular.
Is a bowl cut kind of the Tony Tennille thing?
It's the Tony Tennille. It's Ann Gillian.
Yes. Okay, thank you for translating for me.
It's whatchamacallit is on Logo now. It's a living. So it's everything old is new again, and that might have been the catalyst for everybody getting their bowl cuts. Anyway. I did want to say,
when is the Jane Child hair going to come back? Remember that?
Oh yeah. And didn't she have the piercing in the nose and the chain that was going to be a big accident?
Anyway, The King it's about the Battle of Agincourt, which of course was something that the French are still pissed off about 600 years later.
Sure.
It was a big one. It was the King Henry's army. They were outnumbered and outgunned, and yet they managed to pull off one of the greatest war victories in the history of mankind. King Henry I. This is it's sort of a little historically inaccurate. Falstaff is in this, and Falstaff dies at the Battle of Agincourt, and we know that he was executed much later. They sort of portray. Oh, I just spit out something. They portray King Henry as sort of like a little party boy with daddy issues. He's sort of emo and gloomy and everything, and that's not.
Hence the bowl cut.
Yeah, exactly. And that's not King Henry at all. King Henry is usually played by Kenneth Branagh or Laurence Olivier.
Sure.
Big strapping guy. And he's a little Faye and wispy. You know how Timothy Chalamet is. But anyway, and the other big the historical inaccuracy is we know that King Henry, there was a battle early in his teen years, and there was a arrow stuck in his face that they had to do primitive surgery on to get out. And for the rest of his life, he was sort of deformed and droopy faced, and he had scars all over and everything like that. Well, he gets into the battle, and then he comes out. He has a little tiny little line, teeny tiny little scar, because it's Timothy Chalamet, and it looks like an eyelash instead of a scar.
Can't he just brush his bowl cut over it?
Well, that's sort of what it is.
An asymmetrical bowl cut.
But it makes him sort of look pretty and tough and everything like that. But that's not how King Henry looked.
So you know how
at all.
binary I am. Does this mean you enjoy watching this, or you don't enjoy watching
No,
this?
I'm
And
loving.
this is a movie or a show?
No, it's a movie.
Okay.
It's 2 hours and 20 minutes, so it's a bit of an investment. And they do this sort of faux Middle English language thing. It's faux Shakespearean. That's not really real. That's not how they talked. But the costumes are accurate. The battles are accurate. The everything about it is really. It looks fantastic. It's just beautiful. And Timothy Chalamet is just absolutely
Well, and
wonderful.
Brad Pitt produced, right?
Yes. Oh, and the other big takeaway is Robert Pattinson is in it, and Robert Pattinson chews every scene he is in. He does it like Maurice Chevalier. He does, yeah.
Can I ask what his hair looked like?
He has long hair that's sort of parted in the middle, and he looks really fantastic. But he plays the Dauphin of France. The Dauphin of France.
It sounds like the 90s again. Long hair parted in the middle and bowl cuts.
It was. It is. It's very 90s.
Back
It's very
again.
1490s.
We are so fortunate. That's The King on Netflix. We're so fortunate to have James St. James, who actually lived during that time and can tell us all the inaccuracies. That's fantastic. Welcome. Thank you, James. You are a treasure. We're moving on to number 5 with Blake Jacobs.
Number 5.
You guys have heard of Dr. Sleep, right?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
James actually told me about it.
Is it a mattress company? I have not heard
They
of
should
it.
have a tie-in.
Yeah.
It's the sequel to The Shining.
Okay. Explain, because I've read briefly headlines that people didn't like The Shining and they like this better.
Well, if you recall, when The Shining came out in 1980, 81, something like that, it differed so it was very different from the movie. from the
Stephen
book.
King apparently hated the movie
Yes,
at the time.
and it was who's call it 2001: Space Odyssey.
Right.
Stanley Kubrick.
Right.
Stanley Kubrick, who just sort of went off on his own,
Okay.
Nothing to do with the
So
book.
40 years later, they've rushed out the sequel. Tell us all about it.
Well, this is 2.5 hours long, so it is a time of commitment too. And I'm more of a TV person. I don't really like going to the movies, but
get that.
unless I love a movie, I don't want to I wanted to go see this one, so it was really good.
Okay.
It's Ewan McGregor plays the little boy.
Danny Torrance, all grown
Grown
up.
up.
Red drum, red drum.
Yeah. They have flashbacks, and an actress plays Shelley Duvall's character, in the flashbacks. Yeah.
Is that disconcerting?
She kind of looks like her.
Does they have the little kid who played Danny Torrance? Is he in the flashbacks, or do they have another little kid?
It's another little kid. I mean, obviously, because he's
They should have
old
thought
now.
40 years ago to shoot
Right.
ahead on high def.
But I mean, they didn't use actual clips from The Shining.
No.
Okay.
But what they did do is a lot of scene recreations. Of course, there's the blood coming out of the elevators.
And the two little girls.
The two little
forever,
girls.
Isn't there the carpet in that one, too?
The
Is that
carpet,
carpet.
and all of it. There were so many good carpets. I counted 3.
Really? Because I just know the one, the red and the orange.
No,
the
in room
hexagons.
237, there's
is that
this
the one with the
pink
main-
velvet furniture and this gorgeous Miami-ish.
Is that the one with the bathtub and the woman comes out
Yeah,
of the bathtub?
yeah,
That's
yeah,
room
yeah.
237? Yes,
Yeah.
I remember, sure.
Now, I haven't seen The Shining for a long time, but I remember being horrified, scared shitless. What's the vibe of Dr.
Were you
Sleep?
scared?
I liked it. I never was scared of The Shining, and to tell you guys the truth, I didn't even know why it was called The Shining until dinner before we went last night.
Why is it called The Shining?
Because he has the gift, The Shining, it's called, and that's the ESP.
Right.
Yes.
It's been a while.
So in this
wait.
new movie, there's a new little kid who has The Shining, and Danny, grown up, he was
It's Ewan McGregor.
He talks to the little girl through their minds and stuff. And then there's
And there's a new Scatman Crothers too, isn't there?
There is. And then there's this woman who is like, kind of like Keith Richards in the Pirates of the Caribbean movie,
Okay.
mixed with like Stevie Nicks.
Okay.
And I can't decide if I loved her or hated her, but she's like the lead of these like vampire people that don't really suck the people's bloods, but like take their steam out of them.
This sounds very different than
It
The
is.
Shining.
It's a little
I know
weird.
energy vampires who take the steam out of me. James St. James.
The last 30 minutes, there are 45 minutes, they're back in the hotel. So it's
Now,
not
is it-
all in the hotel,
Is
but
stylistically
that's my favorite part.
gorgeous as the
It was
Kubrick-
really pretty. There were parts of it that I was like, this is cool. And there were parts of it where I was like, I wonder what we're going to think this looked like in like 40 years, you know, like, because there's this one scene where she's like flying through the air, the witch woman, to like go to this girl's house. And it looked kind of cheesy, but I was like,
You're in the movie worrying about what it might look like in 40 years. Honey, you need to stay present, right? It's
Yeah,
like it's
yeah.
a gift.
But
Stay right
also,
here with us.
it's The
You're-
Shining.
Look down at your feet. Where are you? You're right here. It's okay.
But Ewan McGregor can go either way. Sometimes he's hot, sometimes he's not. What was he?
he was pretty hot in this one.
Okay.
I mean, at the first of it, he was like a bloated alcoholic. So, but then you could tell he like cleaned up and like, I think he did some method acting.
Last question: does he ever take a shower?
I think so.
People take showers all the time, and yet not often in films. I think there should be more showers in films.
He
That's
pukes
my-
within the first 10 minutes.
That's how I'm running for president. I'm joining the Democratic
More
Party.
showers.
More showers
In movies.
Fantastic. That's Dr. Sleep in theaters now. Blake, we're a little break time, but asking you, do you have a little trivia question for us?
Yeah, this one's about the Wheel of Fortune that you talked about.
Yes.
How long does it take to record an entire season of Wheel of Fortune, including road trips, promotions, and commercials? How many days do you think it takes?
Day.
I like that.
A whole season?
All right, we're going to have the answer for that. Plus, we're going to continue counting down the top 10 things that make us go, wow, this week on the Wow Report on Radio Andy, Sirius XM.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
We're back. This is the Wow Report. I am Tom Campbell here with James St. James and Blake Jacobs. We are counting down the top 10 things this week that made us go, wow. We are up to number 4, but before we get there, we had a little trivia question. Blake?
Yeah, we were talking about Wheel of Fortune earlier because Vanna's taken over for Pat Sajak while
right.
he's in emergency surgery. So how long do you think it takes to record an entire season of Wheel of Fortune? This includes their road trips, promotions, and commercials.
Actually, I'm doing math. They probably do
I think they do like 10 a day or something.
I would think so. And they probably do 52 weeks, so they do 2 weeks of thing. And I bet you they pack it in. I bet it's really quick. Maybe they do 3. Let's say they do the whole thing in 3 months.
Oh no, I'm saying they do it all in 14 days.
It's actually 40 days. 40 days and nights.
Wow.
Okay.
Poor Vanna's just putting on a gown, taking off
I
a
mean,
gown, putting
but
on a gown, taking off a gown.
They get a whole year's salary for only 40 days work. So
Hey.
I think that's pretty freaking good.
Pay the bills. Let's figure that out for Wow Report, how we can just do all these right now. All right. Let's move on now to number 4.
Number 4.
I want to talk about the things that make you go, boo. There's been a lot of booing in pop culture.
Some of it I like.
I am, the president had to go to 3 public events, sporting events, before he could find one where he wasn't altogether booed. He was still booed, but he was at that
Wrestling thing or
the Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
He was
UFC.
also at
UFC.
the World Series.
Game 5.
And he then went to that. He had to go to Alabama to not be booed.
Well, I mean, everybody, of course, a Republican president is not going to be booed in Alabama.
Maybe his last stop will be North Korea. I don't know where it went, but so he's being booed. Then Don Jr. with his hideous book was
triggered
was
on The View.
On The View, and he was booed. And Whoopi said, and I love Whoopi, and I think she's really wise about a lot of things. And I'm not coming down either side. But she was like scolding, like, please.
Wait, you aren't going to come down on the side. You're going to come down against him.
Whoopi, against him, but Whoopi was to the audience. We talked about this during the break. Please don't boo. Let people talk. Which is an interesting point of view. You have amount of time on the air.
But don't have villains on the show if you don't want them to be booed.
And it's visceral. And like, to me, boo is the nicest thing I can think of to say about a Trump. Like, I would start saying every expletive.
Well, and you say not to have them on the show, but then you get. Well, the media is all on the left, so you kind of have to.
But there's a great meme that I stole, which is like Donald Trump Jr. is worried about being silenced. He wrote a book about being silenced. He talks to his 10 million Twitter followers about being silenced. He's on national television shows talking about being silenced. Poor Donald Trump Jr. Boo.
Yeah.
But then in pop culture, for the first time that I'm aware of, Madonna was booed at her concert in Vegas.
She gets booed all the time because she's so late all the time.
But I know she's been late, and I've experienced it. We all have. You kind of build it into your evening. You're like, well, Madonna goes on at 8, so
that means 1 a.m.,
which means she'll be on at 11, which means we can have dinner reservations at 10:45, and we'll be fine.
But 2 hours is a little.
She got booed. People asked for their money back. People are not putting up with it anymore.
But the thing is, she's not like it's not like One Direction or something where the audience is all going to be teenagers who have to be in school.
That's
right.
The damn truth.
All her audience is now people who have gray beards like us, and they're all people in their 50s. So
who like to go to bed early.
That's true, though. That's true. I mean, come on. How long can you stay up?
Or have jobs?
Well, yeah, no, I know. I'm in bed. If I'm not in bed by 10 o'clock watching Days of Our Lives, now that's over. Oh, no. You brought it back. Wait, I do wanted to also say that Drake was just booed yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
He was performing, and everybody didn't want Drake. They wanted Frank Ocean to come out and perform, so they were like, boo, get off the stage. We want Frank Ocean. I have a feeling that we are just, as a nation, we are just angry right now.
We're fed up, and we're not going to take it anymore.
And we're just going to boo every damn thing that comes around because we're just furious with the state of things.
Yeah.
So,
don't boo, vote. Didn't Obama say that once? Don't boo, vote. People were booing. So don't boo, vote. So you remember to register to boo for the election. There is you can go to vote.gov, and you can click in a few information, and you can learn how to register to vote. So there's no excuse to register to vote. Vote.gov. It's like ordering Postmates. It's easier and it's cheaper. Right. Vote.gov. Register to vote. So your boo will be heard. Let's move on, James, to number 3.
Number 3.
Number 3, I've been watching Nancy Drew on the CW.
Now, tell me, is it on the CW or is it just streaming?
No, it's on the CW. It is on the It is a TV series that you should watch. Now, I grew up with my Nancy Drew was Pamela Sue Martin, who was on the Hardy Boys Nancy Drew hours in the late 70s.
Not Mary Pickford.
No. Well, hold on a second. Because in the late 70s it was Sean Cassidy and Parker Stevenson were the Hardy Boys, and they alternated each week. It was Hardy Boys one week and then Nancy Drew the next week.
Yes.
Now you're a little bit older than me, and I would think that your Nancy Drew would be Benita Granville from the 1930s. She was so.
That was my Mary Pickford joke. I didn't know who did it.
I know. I was mad because I was so happy that I found Benita Granville from the 30s.
Dare you?
But this is a whole.
Do kids still read Nancy Drew?
Well, they do because they have something like 17 billion books in print. It's never been out of print since it started in 1930. There have been many iterations, and she's always a different. She's always
I had no idea it was that old.
Yeah, it started in 1930, and she was she wrote. It was speedster back then, and she was like, a little butterfly. Anyway, she always changes with the times. Well, this is they're trying to Riverdale. This is what they're doing,
right?
And it is the first scene, the first episode of the first scene. She's having sex with Ned Nickerson, her boyfriend. She is dry humping Ned Nickerson in the auto shop,
and the Bobbsey twins are watching.
It is
filming
shocking.
even.
And people are up in arms about this because that's Nancy Drew, and she's supposed to be a role model for the girls.
How old is Miss Nancy Drew, do you think? Is she of age? Is she over 18?
In this one, she's 18. She's
Okay.
graduated high school. She's working at the diner trying to get money to go to college. And there is a murder that happens with a socialite, and then there's a ghost of a beauty queen that's haunting the town. And I think the whole season is going to be solving these two mysteries. And
you say it's Riverdale, because Riverdale has that kind of David Lynchian kind of vibe. Is this what's going on
here? The lighting in Riverdale is all neon pinks and neon blues.
Are there retro cars and things?
There
really?
aren't, but it's sort of shot a little wonky, and it's got the coloring, the lighting is very sort of weird and odd, and
big stars have come from the CW. Is the woman who plays Nancy Drew going to be a big star?
No. She's and I always need to fall in love with someone on the show,
Yes,
and
you
I
do.
don't fall in love with anyone.
No
on
hot
this show.
boys?
No hot boys.
Have they run out of hot boys in the CW? Have they used them all up?
There's two that are trying to be hot, but they haven't really clicked yet. There's a
Okay.
boy who works at the diner, and then there's Ned Nickerson, and it's just very weird. What else was I going to say about it? Scott Wolf is in it. He is the father. He was on Party of Five in the 90s.
He got married in Fayetteville, Arkansas.
Did he?
Nancy Drew's, so he's Mr. Drew?
He's Mr. Drew, and that's something that the CW does a lot, where they had
Yes.
Luke, from 90210,
Right.
and they also had
Get that co-viewing, get those mothers and
Steve
daughters.
Ulrich is on there, so they have 90s
Oh.
hunks who now are the fathers.
Okay.
Now Pamela Sue Martin makes an appearance in the first episode where she's a medium who is bringing back the ghost of the dead woman, and so she's sort of like a gypsy woman, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, it's Pamela, and that's sort of the high point of
She
the
was
show.
also on Dynasty, right?
She was
the
Fallon
first
on
Fallon.
the first Fallon.
How does she look?
She looks. She's an older woman now.
Aren't we all?
It's true, but she's still recognizable as Fallon.
I have
or
not
Nancy
seen
Drew.
her in decades.
And it was a good thing, and that was like it made me feel good to see her, and it sort of raised the whole show a
Nice
little
done,
bit.
producers. Nice done, CW.
People hate this show.
Wow.
I went to IMDb,
Yep.
and everyone is furious with her for having sex. People are saying that it's not the Nancy Drew that they remembered, and so
Okay, boomer.
That sounds like, oh, yes. Yes.
But it is, I
have you checked
enjoyed
the
it.
ratings by any chance? Do you know?
They're sort of in the toilet, but I'm going to stick with it, and I sort of ended up liking it.
There's a footnote on ratings. ABC just announced they're not going to do overnight ratings anymore. They're only going to tell you +3s, +7s, and +35s because nobody watches TV night of anymore.
It's true.
So,
it's
and I
true.
bet you on CW, especially because it's a young viewership, I bet you there's a lot of
And
binging.
I think
and
people stream it.
Huluing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Well, I wish Nancy Drew well. I just do. I'm glad she's having sex. I'm glad somebody's having sex.
Yeah, totally.
So Nancy Drew on the CW. Thank you, James. Okay, we're moving on to number 2. Blake.
Number 2.
Lots of pop music to go through.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Dolly has her first number 1 on the dance electronic chart.
Yes, EDM Dolly.
Yeah. It is
But wait, then didn't Madonna just knock her off this week?
oh, I don't know. Don't fact check me on the air.
Okay. I'm terribly sorry.
This
Keep
is
moving along.
We
moving
are a
along.
propaganda machine. Facts will not be checked.
But wait, but didn't Dolly have a number 1 hit with Peace Train back with?
But it wasn't EDM.
Yeah,
Oh,
this is the
okay.
number 1
Different
dance
chart.
electronic chart.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
With Galantis.
Right.
Who is that?
There's some Swedish.
And featuring Mr. Probs. Now, Galantis.
I love Mr. Probs.
Okay.
My dad used to drive a Ford Galantis. No, I'm sorry.
Galantis is Linus Eklo, a.k.a. Style of I. It's 2 guys. And he co-wrote I Love It for Icona Pop with Charlie XCX.
I love it.
The second one is Christian Carlson, a.k.a. Bloodshy, of Bloodshy and Avant, who wrote Toxic.
There we go.
Ding, ding, ding is full circle.
Right.
So they're
right,
big
right.
Swedes. They're big influential pop masterminds from Sweden.
Right.
Who created this group, who asked Dolly, and now
Right.
They're the new ABBA.
And they're Bloodshy and Avant are also two parts of Mike Snow, one of my favorite bands of all time.
Mike
you should
Snow.
check them out. Miike Snow. Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Their first and third albums are amazing.
Give us a big okay boomer over here too. Okay,
Okay,
boomers.
boomer.
What? You know all of this?
No,
You know? Okay.
I
okay.
was leaning into you, James.
Well, but you know all about Benita Graveson or whatever.
Benita Granville, one of my favorite stars of the 19th Depression era movie stars.
We're transgenerational here. We're really.
Dua Lipa, one of my new favorites from her last album, was amazing. She
Yes.
has a new album coming out. She has a new song out right now, Don't Start. And her new album,
Don't start.
Don't Start Now. And she has a new album, and she's working with Nile Rodgers on it.
Oh, I love that.
No, Rogers. He's so wonderful.
So I'm really
Nice
excited.
man too.
Yes.
I'm really excited about that one.
Yes.
Charlie XCX, who I mentioned earlier, is working with a band called Nasty Cherry. They have a new show on Netflix called I'm With the Band, which I'm super excited about.
Nasty Cherry. We'll remember that one.
Is I'm with a band about groupies? Is that what it is?
It's
women?
about their rise to fame.
Okay.
And then the Dixie Chicks have a new album.
Oh,
That freaks me out. Tell me about what's going on because I've only seen the title.
Well, all we know is the title, Gaslighter.
Gaslighting.
And it'll drop in 2020 with the tour. Another country girl that I'm excited about with the new album, Miranda Lambert.
Oh yeah, you love you some Miranda Lambert.
She has a new album out called Wild Card, and her new single is called He Don't Love Me Like Tequila Does, which I love.
Ain't that the truth? I love country music.
LaRue. Have y'all ever heard of LaRue?
Sure.
They have a new album coming out, or she has a new album coming out.
Also, it's French.
Yeah.
LaRue. And what was that? Oh, I know the song. I know the video.
Bulletproof.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bulletproof.
She has a new song out called International Woman of Leisure.
Oh my God! It's the James St. James story again.
It should have been on. It should have been on the Charlie's Angels soundtrack because that kind of bombed.
I gotta tell you, I haven't seen the movie. I don't know about the movie.
Well,
That's-
but we
and
just
I
found out
love-
today that Kristen Stewart is definitely a lesbian in it. So we
Good.
that is
That's
Okay.
all good.
Yeah.
I love Ariana Grande more than I love
Yeah, because she executive produced it.
Miley. And who's the third on the album?
Lana Del Rey.
Lana Del Rey, who's also excellent. What a piece of crap song.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
It was just a waste.
Can't they make another one? They have time?
Right.
Make
Like a
over,
remix.
do over. Yes.
Yeah.
Anything. Okay, sorry.
And then Rihanna has a new album coming out sometime.
I was convinced that Rihanna had given up music for fashion. I thought that she was making more money for fashion.
Nope, it's supposed to drop this year, but we'll see.
Rihanna, we may have done more Rihanna lip sync for your life songs than any other artist.
I believe that.
because
She's
her
amazing.
songs are amazing. It's weird how you don't forget about Rihanna, but Beyonce, like all these other stars, kind of grab the attention, and Rihanna just like hit after hit after hit after
Oh,
hit,
yeah.
style after style.
Totally.
All right. Okay, we got to take a break. When we come back, we're going to reveal the number one thing that made us go, wow. You're listening to the Wow Report on Radio Andy, Sirius XM. Don't go away.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Same to you. Welcome back to the Wow Report. It's Tom Campbell with James St. James and Blake Jacobs. We have been spending this hour with you counting down the top 10 things this week that made us go, wow. And we've reached number one. James.
Number one.
This was something that went viral this week that I think most everyone saw, and I think people were leaping out of their seats and cheering this young boy. Jordan Steffy was his name. He was a young LGBTQ student, I believe, 13 years old. He says that he'd been being called faggot by the same student nearly every day since 7th grade, since the time... I think it'd been something like 6 years is how long this boy had been torturing him, and he finally just had enough. And the video is him just fighting back and just slapping and just punching the kid and just going after him. And it was one of those things where you don't want to condone violence necessarily, but by the same token, it was, people were saying that this was the slap of Harvey Milk. It was the slap of every gay man who has ever had their...
Goes back to the booing thing. People are just fed up.
Yeah, and
He was fed up.
He was fed up, and he fought back, and he just smacked the shit out of this kid. And it's very satisfying to watch,
Yeah.
no matter where you fall on the spectrum.
Yeah.
He ended up getting into a lot of trouble. He got into more trouble than the boy.
Right.
And he said that for years he's been going to the principal, he's been going to the counselors, he's been telling, and he always is the one getting in trouble for it. And his mother has since taken him out of school and is homeschooling him. And which is probably the thing to do, but by the same
At least for
token-
now, maybe he can find another school. But
Whatever's best for him. I mean, there's always, even on like old sitcoms, but in real life, there'd be somebody that sort of bullied you, and your dad would say, "Poke him one."
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that,
bullies will back down
Yes.
when provoked.
And I
Yeah.
remember once I was being bullied, not for being gay necessarily, but who knows. I was doing this paper with my friend Randy, and there was this one guy that would come up to us and like shake us down for money and stuff. And we told my dad, and he came one day, and he's like, "Hey, Mr. Tough Guy." I just made me think of it. But it was that. But you sort of had to fight fire with fire a little
You
bit.
do.
My father didn't lay hands on the kid, but like it was our strong guy coming in, Hal Campbell in his London fog coat, coming out of his Chevy Impala on the other side of the train tracks.
so he's kind of a resistor of the week.
I think he is the
Yes,
resistor
we haven't
of the
been a
week.
resistor in a
and
long
it's,
time.
It's interesting because the reaction on the internet has been, unequivocally on his side.
Yeah.
And it has been, all of the drag race queens, like a lot of celebrities have come forward and said, go kid, we're on your side, kid. And he's been, visibly touched by the amount of support. He had no idea that people would react the way they did.
It's hard if when you're not the F word, the faggot word hits me like other horrible words in our language. It just cuts through because you would say faggot, and that was the one thing that was the worst thing you could say, and it was absolutely true. I had no
like you
defense.
can't really argue
It's
it.
like, I am the worst thing you can imagine.
Yeah.
So
I still have a problem with queer, even though we've reclaimed it, and we've changed it. But to me, in my era, that was
the weird word.
That was a horrible.
I think
word
mine
too.
was fag. Yeah.
I mean, fag will always be there, but be queer. I just remember people would hiss that as you walked past.
Right.
And so to me, it's hard for me to turn that into.
I feel the same when people say handsome. I'm just like, thank you. No, it was not good. I am so happy we got to spend this hour together. Thank you,
Yes.
Blake.
Thank you.
Thank you, James. Thank you, Herb, who's still here on his phone. What a great story about Lady Gaga. Fenton, travel safe. Come back to us. We'll be doing this again next week. So until then, go out and do something that makes the world go wow.
Wow.
Herb, come up here. We've got we've got the after party. What's
the
gonna
after
what's,
party
You hold
right
it up
here,
to your
where
close up.
things are getting a little loosey goosey at 3 in the morning.
Ooh-wee. Is that the best way? Oh, that's good. Oh, that is a picture to treasure.
You can't, but it's all blurry. You gotta
Pull back a little. How do we do
back
it?
it.
This is for our YouTube viewers. This is the extra bonus material you get for watching. Free of charge.
It's still way too blurry. You're gonna have to.
It's so hot. We'll put you'll do that in the post.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Have a great day.